Is social media a broadcast mechanism for these brands that you've mentioned, or for the consumer, or is there some type of interactivity between both?
I think the most important impact of social media in recent years has been that what was in the past a sort of a monologue by brands as an extension of these media monopolies that the television networks had and the studios had, has shifted now to a dialogue between brands and consumers. Even more than that, I think the conversation has shifted in polarity, in that if brands told us what to think or buy or what was cool in the past, now consumers are increasingly driving that conversation. Why? Because they're co-authoring the stories that brands tell. How? Because they can create content, distribute content, and produce content almost for free, in real time, and distribute it to their peers without any intervention from the brand or the company itself.
Sounds fantastic. How does one get started, or where do they begin in this process?
The most important place to begin is not with the end in mind. So many people see social media tools and an end in themselves. But really, you have to just invest in the relationship, and to do that authentically, you have to start with yourself, whether you're a brand, a non-profit, or even a regular person. Even in my own case with my own brand, I had to start my social media engagement by working out what I care about, which ultimately led to the book. And what that means is you need to identify your core values. And then you need to do outreach on the basis of those values. Because too often a brand will do outreach and then it'll do something else that doesn't gel with that, and there'll be a disconnect in a consumer's mind. But if there's alignment between what a brand says it stands for and the social outreach it does, you not only get the halo effect of doing that good work out in the marketplace, but it reinforces your for-profit brand narrative. So there's a double benefit to that. So work out what your core values are and do outreach on that basis. Secondarily, lead with listening. You know, the days of push broadcast mentality have been replaced by pull and listening mentality, which means, that's a very difficult challenge for a brand who is used to, metrics and media plans and advertising buys and hierarchical structures in organizations which aren't geared towards listening to their consumer.
I really need an example of this. How does a brand listen?
How does a brand listen? Effectively, brands need to become day traders in social emotion. Do you remember in those old E-Trade ads where you'd see the guy sitting at home with the 3 screens and he'd be monitoring his investments and make his fortune by lunchtime? A brand needs to be the modern day equivalent, but listening to what their community of customers are saying. So they need to have a presence on Twitter, on Facebook, on new different media platforms, for example, Path, which is just photo sharing, in which case they need to participate in those conversations in a meaningful way. If you treat it like direct mail and all you do is talk about yourself, it's like being someone who won't shut up about themselves at a party. Everybody very quickly tunes out. What you need to do is listen to the conversations that are meaningful to your audience, engage on that basis, and you will be welcomed. You'll be invited to make a contribution. But fortunately, consumers are becoming increasingly sophisticated and sort of media savvy. So if a brand is doing it disingenuously, they'll pick up on it instantly. And there's so many examples of brands being called out on disingenuous behavior for some time.